All right, here we go. Okay, so this rear sprocket's on here. Important things to know about this is the lettering goes on the outside that faces out away from the bike, and then the bolts are torqued to 25 foot-pounds, and that's pretty much it. That's all there is to that. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start putting the swing arm and all that stuff back on the bike. I'll be back. Oh yeah, before you put the swing arm back on the KLX and a lot of bikes, there's a roller right there. This isn't really a roller on the KLX. It's like a hard rubber thing, but you can replace it with like a ball bearing roller, like Moose makes them. But anyways, just inspect the condition of that. And also, there's the rubber chain bumper that wraps around the front of your swing arm. Make sure that's in good shape too. Because if you got to replace it, now's a good time. It's the easiest time to do it when it's all off the bike. All right, I'll be back. All right, when you install the swing arm bolt here, push it through from the left side of the bike through to the right. Now, it should go in super easy, like no force. If you're having to force it through or anything, don't, because you can damage the bearings. It probably means you're bumping the bolt up against the edge of the spacer that runs through the swing arm. So just position it very carefully. It helps to have like a second person, or just like put your knee underneath this part of the swing arm to hold it up. It's not heavy or anything, you just got to get lined up straight. Now, before you push that bolt through, make sure your mud flap is on this side near the tire. Your shock's going to go through there. I find it's easiest to like start to put this on, kind of angling it like this, and then coming up under those pieces. Then put the swing arm in like that, and then do that before I put my bolt through. The other thing to make sure of is that your rear brake line is hanging inside here like this. If you forget to do that and you put the swing arm on without positioning your brake line over the swing arm, you'll be trapping the brake line up against the frame. And if you put the whole bike back together and find that, you have to take everything back apart again. All right, so that bolt is pushed through there. The next thing is we're going to put the linkage back on. I'll go grab those parts. All right, here's a shop tip. Go to Kmart or Walmart and get a thick workout foam pad for home gym. It's a lot nicer to sit on the garage floor with some of these pads to work on. All right, so let's look at this linkage crap here. Oh. All right. So we've got this piece here. This only goes on one way, this way. All right. We've got 3 bolts here. Two are short and one is long. The long one goes towards the front and goes in from the right side of the bike to the left side. So that'll be in the front. Then you got these 2 bolts, which are the same length. They go in left to right. You also have this bolt here, which is the lower shock mount bolt. Okay, now in the service manual, it shows it going in right to left. However, there is a cutout, a recess in the bottom of the shock mount where this bolt head sits down in. Mine happens to be on my left side of the bike, so I'm putting mine in left to right. If yours is on the other side, just put in whatever side that the bolt head will fit down in that recess. Only one side on the bottom of the shock has that recess cut in it. And here, I'll try to show you it here. Okay, so you see that recess that's cut in the shock right there, in the bottom of the shock mount? So the bolt head will sit down in there. That's just the way mine is. All right. Now, as far as orientation of these pieces, okay, they go sort of one way. Let me see if I can show you this correctly. Okay, they should fit like this. All right, let me move this over here a little bit. Got grease all over them. Okay, so it's basically going to sit like that. So the big bolt is going through there from the right side of the bike to the left, and right to left I mean as you would be sitting on the bike. This bolt's going to go through there, and then this bolt's going through there. This attaches to the bottom of the swing arm. This just attaches to this, and this bolt runs through some holes on the frame to hold this to the frame, and then this right here will sit up, and then the clevis on the shock, one side will go around each side. It's like a U shape, and then like I said, on my bike the recess is on this side, so this bolt's going to go through like this. But if the recess for the bolt head on your shock, on your bike, is the other way, just do it the other way. Now, as far as these bolts go, the shock mount bolt is 29 foot-pounds of torque. Okay, these bolts, these three here, are 44 foot-pounds of torque. These are locking nuts on them. This, again, the shock mount one does not have a nut. It just goes straight through. Also, the service manual says that you should grease the shafts of these. And also, I didn't mention it, but the big bolt that goes through the swing arm, you should grease that too. But before you torque these down then, you want to clean the grease off the threads after you get them pushed through. And just like with the swing arm bolt, if you're encountering resistance or having to push hard or something, then stop and make sure you got everything lined up good before you try to just force those bolts through. Possibly you might want to, once you have the swing arm mounted to the bike, you want to run the bolt through that one first, and it'll just kind of hang down there. Then I would do like this one next, then swing the dog bones up, put this one through, and then tilt that up to get the shock. Alright, but you'll figure it out. Alright, I'm going to put that on and I'll be back. Alright, forgot something important here, of course. Okay, looking at this piece, there's a deep curve here and a shallow curve here. Okay, as far as orientation goes, the shallow curve goes towards the ground, and this is up closest to your swing arm. This is the one that the bolt that mounts this to your swing arm is going to go through. So it's important to have the orientation right. Let me revise instructions here a little bit. Okay, when you're going to put this linkage stuff on, see that hanging down right there with the dog bones? Go ahead and put that on first before you can put the top one in this, but don't hook up the shock yet. Because what this will allow you to do is lift up the swing arm like I'm doing here and get at that bolt. Now, when much smarter, the bolt goes in there. If Kawasaki had made it so that the bolt is tightened from the other side, there's a ton of room over there, but right here is your kickstand and everything, which I currently have off. But if this is down in like the standard position, when you have the shock mount bolt through there and everything, it's going to be really tough to get a wrench in there and torque that. So go ahead and put the dangly bits on first, torque that up to spec, and then you can go ahead and finish putting the rest of the bolts in. Alright, that's it. I'll be back. Alright, all this stuff's back on. Let's take a look real quick. Okay, the bolt to mount the swing arm, the bolt goes through left to right, the nuts on the other side. They're both 19 millimeter, and that's torqued to 79.7 foot-pounds. Alright, get down here. Okay, so here's this stuff. Now, these bolts have nuts on the other side. These two go left to right. They're 44 foot-pounds of torque. Now, you see the flats on this bolt? This one goes with the flats this way. This one goes with the flats this way. And the one that passes through the frame with this nut on it, it goes the same orientation as this one, except for that one starts on the right and goes through to the left. And then here's my shock mount bolt. That's 29 foot-pounds. So 44, 44, 44, 29 foot-pounds, 79.7 foot-pounds. And remember, you torque the nut, not the bolt. All right, so next step for me is I'm just going to reattach the brake line holders there. And I think that's about it. Then I'm going to put the rear tire on and the brake pedal back on. The brake pedal goes on. It's 18 foot-pounds for that bolt there. And you'll need a new cotter pin, but it's pretty simple to put back on. All right, so I'm going to put that stuff on, slide the rear tire through, and then we'll do the chain next. Archer's stalking me. Okay, let's see, where were we? All right, so linkage and all that stuff's put on. Put the brake line retainers back on. Just tighten those like 2-finger tight, just till they stop. That's plenty. Also, I put the brake pedal back on, and then I've got the rear tire on, and I just push the axle through, and then just hand tighten the nut on the other side, because we'll have to adjust like the chain length and all that kind of stuff once we're done here. So we're fixing to put the chain on. So this is what I got. Sorry for all my handheld camera bullshit here. RK GB4 28 MXZ. Oops. And this is, like I said, a clip style chain. Now it comes with a clip link, but I also ordered 2 extras to put in my trail kit for this, just in case. All right, so let me open this up. Let's see what's in here. All right. Let's see, we got a box. We get a couple stickers, which is pretty cool. All right, here's the chain itself. Comes in a sealed up bag. Looks like it's got lube and shit all over it already. Now let's see if there's an actual master link in here. Like I said before, this is a 134 link chain, which is the stock size. Okay, and then there's our master clip style link. Now I'm going to spool this up on here. I have 2 special tools to do this. I have a chain side plate press, and then I also have some clip link pliers to put the clip on. You can use regular tools to do that stuff, but I just have them, so I'll use those. All right, I'm going to kind of get the chain kind of laying on the sprockets, and then I'll come back here. All right, the chain's laying on there. Now, as far as the chain orientation goes, one side of the chain has like the chain size and like the manufacturer's stamp on it. Orient the chain so like the link that has like RK or DID attached to it is in the right direction and legible when that link is like up here. All right, so let's look at a couple things. All right, here's the clip link. Okay, you can see the grooves the clip will go through. Here's the little side plate it comes with. Okay, and then this is the clip link itself. Now, this is a stamped piece of metal, so one side will have like a rough edge and the other will have a smooth rounded edge to it. You want to put it so the rounded edge is towards the plate, and then you also want to orient it so that when the clip is on, the closed end is in the direction of travel. All right, and here, these are some Master Link pliers. Okay, you can see they got grooves that fit on the post on the Master Link, and then they have a long end and a short end. So you put the short end and the groove on the post, and then you can slide the clip on with that. Okay, the other tool I have here is this funky looking thing. All right, this is a link press here. So it looks kind of weird, but what has to happen is I'll put the Master Link through, then I'll slip this on, and I'll put this bottom Allen bolt through. Oops, it goes through both holes here, and then I'll use the center screw or bolt to press the master link on, or the side plate on. You want to put it on so it's just below the grooves where the clip can fit on easily. Don't press it on too far because you can bind up the chain, or bind up the master link there. And after you get your clip installed, you want to back that side plate back towards the clip so that it's in full contact. All right, so I'm going to get this stuff set up, and then we'll do that. All right, so one other thing I did in preparation is I moved the adjusters all the way forward, because with the new sprocket and chain, it's going to be really tight. So I got it so that the open ends are right next to each other on the tooth. And I've got the link. And I'm going to drop it a bunch. Oh, Archer. And I'm just going to push this through if I can here. Come on. Come on, baby. Okay. So that's through. All right. So Archer hears me talking out here. He thinks we're under attack. All right. So after I got that through, I'm just going to rotate it forward to this area so I can work on it. All right. So the next thing to slide on there is the side plate. Okay. So I'm going to put that on with my fingers. I'm just going to line it up. Okay. Now the pins will press through. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. What I'm looking for is to see if I can see the grooves for the clip. I don't think I quite see them, so I'm going to press this on a little bit with this tool. All right, so we're using a little tool here. It's got these grooves on it, which these grooves go around the rivets on the pins on the back half. Okay, so this is a little jiggly here. All right, let's get this lined up. All right, so I'm slipping this over. If I can get it open wide enough to do its magic. All right, there we go. So I'm going to slip that over. And then now the grooves on the pins in the back, and this one's here. So what I'm going to do is take this other one, put this through the bottom. All right, so I'm just tightening each one of these, trying to tighten them evenly. Okay, so once they're tightened, I'm going to use the centerpiece here and just press this. All right. Let's see if we got it. This tool's kind of a jiggly pain in the ass mess, but it's all right. I mean, they are what they are. All right, let's see what that looks like. All right, I believe our grooves are exposed. Now, I think it's going a little more. Now, if the gap with these pins is too much, like it's not pressing properly, you can take the back plate off of this and reverse it. That's what I'm going to do now. I don't think I'm getting enough push. All right. So I got the flat plate here is going to go up against this. All right. So I put that on. And run this Allen bolt through. All right. These ones here, I'm just tightening until they stop. And then using the center one to get some torque on it. All right, so let's see what we got there. Let me take a look. I'm looking. Don't rush me. I think that's good. The side plate is like just at the edge of the groove. All right, so now I'm going to check my master link with my finger. I'm just rubbing my finger to see which edge feels sharper. So this edge feels sharp. So I'm going to put the flat side towards this. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to slip this on here like this. Okay. And then, oops. All right, so that's on there. So the closed end will be facing the direction of travel. I'm going to grab my master link pliers, putting the short end on the pen, and I just squeeze them together. And that fucker's on there. All right, that looks good. Let's spin it and see if it pops off. Whee! All right, let me find that link again. Where you at? Now, clip links can't pop off in the field. I've seen that happen before. It happens. I've seen some guys do a little safety wire with a little pigtail, so that the pigtail is towards that side, so that like the knot in the safety wire faces the direction of travel. I don't know. I'm not going to really safety wire it. I might regret it later, but this is good. Nothing's bound up. Everything's flexible. So that's pretty much it for that. So what I got to do now is put my chain guard back on, put my chain guide back on the bottom. Those bolts and these screws, JIS screws, I just put a little blue Loctite on them and just basically put them until they're like 2-finger tight on the screwdriver or the socket. Then I got to put the front sprocket cover back on, also with the little 8mm bolts. If you didn't watch the first video on this, in the first video, I have a little cutscene where I show how the components above that go together. I'll probably just film it again. All right, so yeah, chain guard, chain guide, front sprocket cover, and then because this is all fresh, this is going to be really tight, actually. I like to set my chain, move the camera here, when the bike's in neutral up on the stand. I like it so that right here I can only fit 2 fingers. So I'm gonna need to move this back, obviously, because I can get that many fingers in. But having the tire pushed far forward while you do this makes it a lot easier to have some slack in the chain to work with. So then I'll adjust my chain length, and then I'll torque the axle nut. And that should be it. Project complete. But yeah, I'll go ahead and cut in a little video here of putting the front sprocket cover back on. All right, let me get that crap, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, we're going to put this back together. Okay, so here's our little case saver, I guess. Now, there is a black wire right here. It's the neutral switch lead. The service manual says when you put this on, you're going to put it on like this. Or sorry, like, fuck, I'm an idiot. It's going to go on like this with these ribs towards the front like that. The service manual says feed that wire in between these two. Okay, so that wire holds that wire out of the way. All right, and don't forget the top is going to get that little spacer on it, and the top gets the long bolt, and the bottom gets the short bolt. Okay, looks like to me, unless that's just oxidation, there's which it could be. It looks like there was some medium strength thread locker on there. Now, oftentimes a good thing to do is if you're putting a steel bolt into an aluminum part, like the engine casing, is to use some of that nickel anti-seize or copper anti-seize. And just as an aside, anti-seize is like copper anti-seize is not the same thing as copper grease. They're different products. But a lot of people do that. I'm just going to use a little blue Loctite on these. As soon as I find where the hell I put it. It's probably on the other side of the garage. Yeah, the longer I work out here, the messier everything fucking gets. All right, I got to find that. I'll be right back. All right, found all my crap. I know where everything is. It's somewhere in the garage. All right, here's Loctite I like to use. This is the Loctite medium strength stick. It's blue. It's kind of like, it's a little goopier than chapstick or something, but it's less messy than other things. So I just put a little dab on the end there. Do the other one. All right, and then we're gonna put this back together. Okay, so remember this piece, the ribs, keep that that neutral switch wire out of the way. This is going to require a lot of fingers. Okay, let's see. I'm just getting some mud off of this shit. Let's see if we can do it kind of like this. Alright, so I've got the spacer here on the top bolt. I'm going to put this on here, and I'm kind of sideways to this whole thing. I'm going to slide this in. I'm going to catch that wire with the ribs. Okay. So, alright, that's good. The wire is, oops, sorry. The wire is between the two metal ribs there. See if I'm remotely near the bolt hole. Sort of. Alright, it's going. Get the fuck, I'm hitting everything. Alright, we'll get the bottom one going here. Torque on these is 78 inch-pounds, which basically means just like one finger tighter than hand tight. Like that. That's it. Just turn it till it basically stops with like 2 fingers on your socket. So just going like that. All right, that is on there. Let's rotate. Everything's free. All right, good. All right, next thing, I'll put the chain guide and chain guard back on. Let me reorient my stuff. All right, I'm going to put the chain guard back on. Now, you might notice a lot of motocross bikes don't come with one. Why that is, I don't know. But maybe it's rules or something. I don't know. But that's just something I noticed. Most motocross or bikes marketed as an MX bike do not come with one of these. All dual sports do. Most trail bikes do. Most bikes marketed as enduro bikes. All right, so put a little Loctite on my screws. Got my handy dandy JIS driver. I'm gonna put these in. The only thing about putting these screws in is just get them both started first before you tighten them all down. And also make sure you do not cross thread the holes when you're putting stuff in here, especially the Swingarm, because you can use thread chasers and repair the threads to a degree, but you don't want to dick up like bolt holes and screw holes on the Swingarm. Alright, so I just turn them until they stop. Alright, our next thing is we have our chain guide. Okay, so it goes like that. It's got this metal plate, this plastic piece, and this plastic piece. So it's going to make a sandwich here out of our chain. Okay, and there's two metal flanges down here. There's one on this side and one on this side. Okay, so this piece here with the plate and this half of the block goes against that flange like that. Okay, and then this piece goes inside the far flange, and then it makes a little sandwich here out of this stuff and completely captures the chain. Okay, so there's two bolts up top that go through the Swingarm stuff, and two bolts on the bottom. The torque on those is also 78 inch-pounds. I'm just going to use a little blue Loctite again and put these together. Just put some on the end of my bolts. Yeah, so 78 inch-pounds, it's not even really worth getting out a torque wrench for that stuff. I do believe in torque wrenches, but I use them for pretty much anything that's over finger tight, but 78 inch-pounds is definitely just finger tight. All right, let me see. Oh, this has two long bolts and two short bolts. I'm going to guess the long bolts go up top. We'll do that and see what happens. Okay, so let me start this. All right, I lied to you a little. This metal, this goes like this. Okay, so this outside plastic piece goes behind this flange. Then this goes right on that metal flange. All right, so I'm just going to put these bolts through a little bit just to hold it. All right, we're going to try out the long ones up top here. It seems to make sense, but not everything on a motorcycle makes sense. All right, so let me get this other piece of plastic here. Okay, looking at the way this is cut, this has a groove right there. So there's a flange that's further away from you. So that flange will sit here. So this will go up and under and against the further away flange. And when I say flange, I mean there's a piece of metal welded to the bottom of the swing arm. All right, so let me just get that lined up. Get these bolts through both pieces of plastic, and then the furthest away flange is tapped with threads. I think everything's going through. All right, I'll fully tighten that in a second. All right, so now we're going to take our short bolts and go through the metal plate and then through both pieces of plastic. Whee. All right. Now we'll take our 8mm. Just tighten it till it stops. Same thing on the bottom. That should be good. I'm just feeling around the back. Make sure our bolts poke out like they should. Yep, they do. All right, we'll get the tire spin. All right, there we go. That is functional. All right, so we got our sprocket cover on. We got our chain guard. We got our chain guide on. The last thing to do is to adjust the chain tension. Like I said, in neutral on the stand, I like to be able to fit 2 fingers in there. And then once I take it off the stand in neutral on the ground, I like to be able to fit 3 fingers in there on the ground. So this is a little too loose. All right, so that's pretty much the project. I'm just gonna fiddle with my adjusters here and then go ahead and do the final torque on the axle nut. And that's a wrap. All right, if you have any questions or any poo like that, just hit me up in the comments. Or if you go over to advrider.com under the Thumpers subforum, we have a really big thread on the KLX140G going. We have all kinds of technical info and things like that. And any mods people have done, aftermarket parts that fit and stuff like that. So it's a good place to go look up stuff. If you just got your bike and you're wondering what kind of stuff fits on her, you have questions about jetting or just need to ask the other guys questions. All right, take it easy. I'll see you.